to ask Victor Carosi, the Commissioner of Public Works, to give us an update on the Underhill water initiative.
And as a reward, you really don't have to stay if you don't want to.
But thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for all you do.
Bye.
And for your project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, good. So now,
is it me? I've kind of cleared the house. I'm not sure. So good evening, Supervisor Feiner, members of the Town Council. Again, it's Victor Carosi, Commissioner of Public Works. And just wanted to give a brief update with the water project that the town is working on over on on Underhill Road. As people might have noticed, and I think there's been a lot of noise on social media about apparently lack of progress on this project. That is true. The project the town did stop the work in early July. What we've been doing out there, just briefly, and I won't take up too much time, is it's an operation to clean and reline the water mains so that we could restore their hydraulic capacity, lessen the incidence of discoloration of water, and maintain adequate flows for the future. The action is to actually scrape what's tuberculation. It's a buildup of growth, if you will, of rust inside the water mains. And these were originally cast iron pipes that had no lining in them, so you can imagine that the water in cast iron, it does have a reaction. So what the standard is to place cement water lining in the pipes, and that's what we're doing out there. Would like to definitely make this report brief to let you know that we had some problems on the job. Obviously, we did stop the job. But we have been discussions with the contractor, with our engineering consultant and engineering department. I'm pleased to advise that we have reached a point where we are agreed in a process to go forward. And beginning Monday, September 16th, the contractor will be back out on the project site to continue with the project. We have changed the means and methods of the work, and we don't anticipate any further delays, slowdowns, or problems with the project going forward. Would like to obviously alert people that with work on Underhill Road, there will be periodic either lane closures, slight delays. So again, starting on Monday, we would ask the residents in the general area to be aware that traffic will be delayed on Underhill Road as our contractor remobilizes and continues the work of lining the water mains for the future. I would like to also say that this process, we've learned. I think every project that the town goes through, I've been in the business for almost 30 years, and each time there's a learning experience. And it seems to be this particular project, I understand that there's a lot of concern about the lack of communication. The engineering department did periodically provide information direct to the residents through direct mail to those impacted at key points along the way. But obviously, since we stopped the project in July, there has been a lack of communication. Apparently, we're recognizing how that lack of communication is a problem. We're talked about it in our office, and we're going to try to provide more routine updates to the residents of this project as well as other projects as we can. We're discussing ways that we can have better communications. We have our new website. We're going to try to utilize that in a more constructive manner to give updates to the various projects of the town engineering department and town DPW when we can. So I just wanted to apologize basically to our residents for that lack of communication, but should also understand that the project we're doing is to improve the water quality through the area and improve the flow of water through the area. So this is a reinvestment into the infrastructure of the town.
This was also something the fire district needed.
Well, there's a relationship between the town and the fire district. The fire districts expect to have a certain amount of water available for fire flows, and that's what the water department endeavors to do. This project definitely enhances the flow, the available fire flow to those areas. And that's what we're looking at throughout our area, throughout many of what areas within the town, where we've done some modeling and recognize that there are areas of improvement that can be done. So I just want to give that report briefly. There are a lot of technical details about why we stopped. There are some people talking about the pH of the water. That is correct. There was a concern. That's why we actually had problems with it. We want to make sure that the water quality parameters are within the standards of the American Waterworks Association, AWWA, as well as everyone should recognize that the Westchester County Health Department is our regulating agency, and we've always been in touch with them about any issues. But not to mix up two issues here. Right now, the water on Underhill and the surrounding streets, including Rock Hill Lane, residents are being provided water through an above-ground network of temporary water pipes. Those pipes are disinfected, and the bacteriological results have been provided to the health department, and they review those before we even began this project. That was the first step done several months ago, and the water continues to be provided to our residents through that above-ground network of temporary piping, as well as those pipes are arranged to provide, in the event of a fire, the fire department is aware where those pipes are and how to utilize those pipes to provide fire protection. We will not provide any drinking water to residents if that water has not been properly disinfected and tested and authorized by the Westchester County Health Department. That is our overriding concern at all times. I just wanted to let everyone know, again, the water is safe, remains safe, and we will not provide any water to anybody if it is not safe to drink and is not within the parameters of the Westchester County Department of Health.
And we're not just looking for minimum standards, you're looking
Oh, no.
exceeding
There are
them.
standards, there are the standards that we have to apply, and we have to submit results to the county health department, who has to authorize us to put those water mains into service.
Well, you were talking about concrete. They've been
Yeah.
using concrete. How different is going to be the process going forward than, say, what you started in the summer?
Right. It's a matter of, again, this is where the technical details begin to get rather complicated, but it has to do with the ratios of sand and cement into an admixture of concrete that's placed into the water mains. And the standard specifications allow different ratios of sands and cements, but there are also, as in any operation, there are pros and cons to different actions of it. The earlier lining was designed to optimize the productivity of the lining contractor and the lining equipment. However, it was discovered that with some of the network of dead-end water mains, that concrete was leaching out too much calcium and changing the pH of the water, so we couldn't return those water mains to service. Since that time, we've reviewed the different admixtures and have modified it, but with that modified mixture, it's having a difficulty being processed through the contractor's equipment. So we've then had to sit down and struggle with what can we do that we can get a mixture that will not impact the changed pH as much, and yet will also work within the standard equipment of the industry. We've resolved those issues, and that's why we're now going forward.
I just want to mention.
Is there a time frame when you believe the project will be completed?
Yes, thank you. I apologize. That was part of my discussion. We anticipate the project to be done before the cold weather towards the end of November. There's still a lot of work that remains on this project, including replacing fire hydrants, replacing water mains, and then obviously returning all the different services, water service back to their normal process. So at this point, we don't anticipate any further problems, any further delays, and the contractor will be working diligently to resolve and move forward with this project, and November is our current deadline.
Will the roads be restored after?
Definitely, roads will all be restored. I can't say now that we will have final restoration of the roads before the winter, but the roads will ultimately be restored. Obviously, depending on the weather and the timing, will dictate what we're able to do with the final restoration of roads. But when we're done with the project, at least before the winter, if we're not able to get the final restoration, then the roads will be temporarily surfaced so that they would be sufficient through the winter time.
The Water District Advisory Board, which includes a representative of Edgemont, was involved in, from the beginning, in recognizing the need for this. Could you maybe briefly talk about the selection of the company, and has this company had experience doing this type of work?
Sure. The The project overall has been discussed at the Water Advisory Committee level. They're aware of where we're going. In fact, we've been meeting with them and, regularly exchange ideas and they offer different types of guidance to us. This project, cleaning and lining, we utilized a consulting engineer for us who assisted us with the bid preparation and design plans. And it was put out to public bid. It was bid publicly, I believe it was last year. I don't have the information in front of me, but all of our bidding is done in a public environment, and the resolutions are read here out loud, and each resolution indicates the number of bidders that were received for that project, the prices that were presented by those bidders, all open in a public environment. So that information I don't have in front of me, but is definitely available to anyone to do the research. However, as far as this contractor, the contractor that was awarded the project is J. Fletcher Kramer. They're based out of Hackensack, New Jersey. They are one of, I believe, about a handful of companies that are specialized in this field of cleaning and lining of water mains, and they do this work throughout the country. The processes that we are doing here in Greenberg are no different than the processes experienced elsewhere across the country. There are just some uniquenesses that we've discovered between the Langelier index of our water that's delivered through the reservoir system, some treatment techniques that we've been using, and the numerous dead ends that we have in our system currently that have impacted and are the slight differences locally rather than other areas across the country. All of which actually we're looking into and trying to figure out ways in the future that we might be able to enhance our water system to minimize the amount of dead-end water mains within communities, offer a better circulation. If you kind of look at it, generally the road network, talk about some of the roads off of Underhill, many of them are dead ends. Well, similarly, the water mains tend to be dead ends, and it's not an ideal situation. And that's something we're looking into as a long-term, multi-year process to continue to improve our water distribution system. So, but J. Fletcher Kramer is a company I've personally have worked with them in previous employments. Have never had any problems with this company. They've been cooperative in discussing this situation, and moving forward, I don't anticipate any significant cost overruns or difficulties with any of their projects. Again, this is a situation that developed, and they've been cooperative in researching and resolving the issue.
And the last thing I just wanted to mention, to the board and the community is there's been a lot of chatter and comments on next door, and there were two people who commented expressing concerns, about this, and they both had experience dealing with the water industry. That's their profession. So I invited them to the Water District Advisory Board. They both attended the meeting yesterday, last night. We must have spent at least over an hour, discussing it. And really the consensus from the Water District Advisory Board was that, the big mistake, if the town, made a mistake, was the lack of periodic communications with the community, but the people who are familiar with the industry felt that, the town. My impression was that they felt that, what you said.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right. You were able to sit in on part of that meeting last night, and yes, it was two individuals that were part of it. And I think they offered some constructive information that we are able to utilize both on this project and going forward. It was a good dialogue that we had with them, so we appreciate that opportunity.
Great. So thank you.
No problem.
Anybody? Alan, you have a question? Here, you could ask. Here, you could make.
By now you have to come up.
Well, Alan did fill out a form for public comment.
Why don't we start? We'll start the public comment, and then you could, no, but this is the public comment. You could, and then the commissioner will ask.
My only two, I'm Alan Fishman, North End of Edgemont, 45 years. One question I have is our firefighters need X amount of gallons of flow of water to have enough pressure to fight fires, right? We know that they ran into a problem twice at Sprain Nursery when there were fires, not too distant past. So I'd like to know, what is the expected water flow going to be in terms of hundreds of gallons of water pressure, of movement of water, all right, when this is done, part one. Part two, with all of this going on, and then there's this problem, that problem, and please don't somebody tell me, oh, a lot more. I'm curious about what this is costing versus what would it cost to rip up all of this and put in new pipe. Two simple questions.
Okay, Victor?
Right?
Yeah, we'll ask, Victor, would you be able to answer?
Thank you, Mr. Fishman, for your questions. With respect to fire flow, definitely, as I've said here publicly, the purpose of this type of project that is being done now in Underhill was also done in other parts of the community last year, up here on Mayfair Knollwood, for instance, is definitely that, is to provide, to restore the original hydraulic capacity, the amount of water that can go through any, the diameter of the pipe, to its original design. I can't say up here exactly how many GPMs will be available because I don't have the model results with me, but I can tell you that it's an 8-inch water main that is on a good portion of Underhill Road, and it circulates into a larger diameter pipe. The problem was that towards the upper part of Underhill Road, north of Evandale, where the water main actually dropped to a 6-inch pipe, and that pipe was heavily tuberculated. More than likely, again, without the model results, I'm just giving you my experience as a licensed professional, definitely over 500 gallons per minute would be available probably to those dead-end hydrants in the area. But again, this is being reinforced by larger circulating mains that now will have the ability to push water through those mains. Also, for future, the town has been, there's a project that has been discussed at this board level for development of the nursery. As part of that development, we've been discussing with the potential developer the opportunity to continue the Underhill water main around and loop back into other facilities that we have on Sprain Road. Well, it's two different pressure zones and hydraulic areas of the system, but through the addition of a pressure regulating valve, if there is some type of other action over there, the system will be able to have more circulation of mains and will be able to be reinforced from other areas of our system, further increasing the availability for fire flow to that area. So it's a combined approach. If there's the absence of any further development, there's still more than enough water for fire flow. I don't have the results specifically to give you the gallons per minute yet, but we are confident that this will restore the original capacity. And again, in the future, we're looking for other ways of reinforcing that even further. As far as the costs, this was a $3.1 or $3.2 million project. Again, I don't have the resolutions in front of me, but it's for thousands of feet of water main, not just along Underhill Road and Rock Hill Lane, but also included up in this area. We did parts of we did off Payne Street, we did North and South High Street, we did Highland, we did Evelyn, we did Mayfair, so many thousands of feet of water pipe. The costs just don't compare. A new water main is costing somewhere around $400 a foot or so. This is about half of that cost. So it's a cost-effective way for us to restore capacity, and we do this when we know that the original water mains are providing adequate flow in their original capacities, and that there are no strong history of breaks that tell us that those pipes are not adequate. So, and also, it's a way of minimizing, even though I know it's been a lot of inconvenience for the residents along Underhill, along Rock Hill, and other areas where they still have this temporary, but it's also, compared to a major construction when we're excavating all the other things, this is a heck of a lot less inconvenience to the residents. So whenever we can do this process, we would do it, and we would choose it over a replacement. But again, it's a cost savings, but it's also done based upon many different conditions that we have to evaluate.
You mentioned yesterday at last night's Water District Advisory Board that, as you've been involved with this project, some of the initial costs that you thought you'd have to spend, you might be able to avoid. So you said that you think that this should come in even with the delays, pretty close to the budget?
Yes, yeah. As I said earlier, that I don't anticipate significant cost overruns as a result of this. There's been a cooperative relationship between us and J. Fletcher Kramer, a contractor. And we don't see that at this point, that if the project continues to move forward, that any of these days will delays and will become significant cost issues.
Make it, Mr. Bernstein, you want to speak?
For clarification, is this public comment?
Yes.
Good evening. At the regular monthly meeting of the Edgemont Community Council this past Monday, we had discussed this issue. We also invited Mr. Carosi to speak and answer questions. He was not able to attend. We asked him to submit a written statement to us. He did not respond. What I'm going to suggest is that perhaps the best way to deal with the crisis in confidence that exists in Edgemont with respect to this project due to the lack of communication is to give us the data that is the basis for everything that Victor Carosi just said. I'm not criticizing him or the decisions he made. No one is in a position, from where I stand, to do so. We don't have the data. But here's where you can, I think, contribute positively to restoring confidence. You have a new website. I took a look at it. It obviously needs a lot of improvement, but it does facilitate the creation of a web page where you can post the contract, the RFP. You can post the schedule. You can post the communications that Victor has had with the contractor concerning this problem. You can post the communications that you've had with the Westchester County Board of Health. By being transparent and putting all this information out there, residents who are so inclined can look at it. Maybe they will have suggestions. Not everybody makes suggestions through social media on Nextdoor. And so the record is clear, Edgemont doesn't have a representative on the Water District Advisory Board. The Water District Advisory Board has volunteers, one of whom happens to live in Edgemont. But that resident, grateful though we are that he volunteers, has no reporting responsibilities to us. And so what's needed here is for you to take the bull by the horns. These documents exist. The alternative, of course, is the cat and mouse game that we usually play, where we send off a FOIL request, you take the time, as much time as you need to respond, then we dispute whether there's been a response. In the meantime, nobody gets the information that's really critically needed. So my suggestion to you is to start here and now posting all the information with respect to this project so that the residents can see for themselves what you're doing, what you're planning to do, and test whether you actually can live up to these commitments. As you know, and I realize my time has expired, as you know, this project commenced 2 years ago. It was suspended because of winter weather last year. Residents were assured that it would be completed this year. Victor is now assuring us not to worry, these setbacks notwithstanding, it'll be completed before the freeze this time. But what assurances are there that will happen? What if they don't? What is the recourse that the town has if they do not? What is the plan for next year to prevent this from happening? All of these are questions that can be answered if you would post the information so that we can see it without having to foil it and waiting for you to give us an answer. Again, a lot of this could have been addressed if Victor had been able to come, but he couldn't, and I'm not going to fault him for that. And it would have been nice if we had gotten a written statement to be able to disseminate to Edgemont residents on Monday night, but that didn't happen. But here we are now, here I am here, and my asking you for this was a result of the unanimous resolution of the Edgemont Community Council at its meeting on Monday. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Burstein. And again, I do apologize. It was late notice on the meeting. I would have been happy to attend. I had a prior engagement, and I was not in the office at all on Monday, so I wasn't able to respond. But actually, that's another reason why we're here this format this evening, and I'm hoping that many residents of Edgemont, as well as other areas of town, are listening and able to learn from it, as I also have learned from this experience. As far as our new website, yeah, we do agree. The website does offer some opportunities. That's something my staff is now looking into. But please, again, be advised that resolutions, contracts are posted with the town board on our old website. Again, we're more than happy to share this. And all our RFPs do go onto our website, and I'm sure historically you could probably find this contract on that website.
Could we
I
maybe?
tell you, they are there. I apologize. I don't.
No, Victor, I checked.
All right.
So
But
do you
we
want,
do post.
we could look and we'll see if we could put that information on the website.
If you have it,
You- we'll-
Well, again, it was posted during the bid process. I can't tell you what happened from the time the project was bid. I just don't have that information, but it's not that we're hiding anything. I just want to let everyone know.
Okay, so when we yell out, it
So-
disrupts the meeting, and then we can't have an informative meeting.
But
So
I-
please let Mr. Carosi speak.
In any event, I understand the comments, and I think that we'll be able to make productive changes because of those comments. I do appreciate them. And as far as further on, just rest assured that this is a matter that it's not come before our office to have to go through. This is not something we'd like to have delays. And we're trying to make sure that future projects, that what we've learned from this project on a technical level as well, are going to be addressed in future projects. Because I said, this is phase one of multiple projects that we'll be doing, phase two and phase three, which will impact other areas of town as well for similar reasons. But using this as an experience, we hope to move on and make sure that we don't have further delays when we go ahead and do that in the future. So I think it's all a great experience, and again, I do apologize to people for the problems that they're seeing at this point, but we are trying to move forward and get this project wrapped up by November. So thank you.